Hi, Linus. Can you update us on how your workflow has changed since Taryn joined? Has it worked out the way that you hoped? What specifically you've been able to spend more and less time on?
I'd say the biggest thing is, when I have an issue, I have a single or a couple points of contact that I can bring it to. It's not always going to be resolved instantly because the real world is messy. In theory, everything is perfect. You have an org chart and you have the reporting lines, and but in practice, it's nothing's ever that simple. But I'd say that specifically, I've been able to spend less time on performance management and more time on making videos, which is, I think, the best thing for the company. When we were talking recently about how viewership had kind of recovered to pre-controversy levels, right? It's a little lower right now, but the reason for that is in the last month we've uploaded way fewer videos. We're
the per video viewership.
Yeah, we're banking up videos right now for the next little bit. And so even when things were kind of back to pre-levels, we still weren't uploading as much as we had been before. So we're actually in a healthier state from that point of view. So I do think that the best thing for the company is me being able to spend more time on the creative elements of things and less time on the business administration side. There's a bit of a misconception, I think. And I think part of it is the way that I've represented myself. There's a bit of a misconception that I'm somehow incapable of leadership, incapable of setting a strategic direction. I'm very self-effacing in my sense of humor, and I think a lot of the time I will publicly undermine myself in order to
people don't get the joke.
Build up someone else's role or their contribution. And I think that what I forgot or didn't realize or hoped to give people more credit for than that is that people wouldn't take that seriously. They would understand that while I have gotten extremely lucky to arrive where I have, I also did run the company until we had 100 people, and I didn't step down because I couldn't do the job. I stepped down because I couldn't do two jobs. More than two jobs. I mean, I was our primary host, I was our editor-in-chief, and I was our CEO. It was not tenable. Also, still, I was
realistically, you did more stuff than that.
Realistically, like a chief creative officer as well. There was a lot that I was doing.
And does that apply to the ideation for Creator Warehouse?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, there's Creator Warehouse too, which I didn't put a ton of my hours into every week, but I certainly did put some. So I think it's less that, I wasn't able to do things, and it was more that I have a hard time investing energy into things that I don't enjoy and I don't want to do. And I think that I do my best work when I'm focused on the things that I do enjoy. So I did some of my best work this week right before WAN Show, when I was working with Alex on building a system in the new Kalios Streacom tower. Check this thing out.
Was that on Build Corner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh.
I know.
Oh.
I know. So it's this thing. This was that company that scammed everybody, basically. Yeah, here we go. Kickstarter project by Kalios. It's been resurrected through a partnership with Streacom. We didn't want to work with them in any kind. We didn't want to take anything from them. We didn't cover them at Computex that year because they didn't agree to refund people. But what we did say was we'd buy it. So we bought one of the backers who wanted out. We bought their pre-order. So we've got it. We've purchased it like anyone else would have. We're building in it. It's super cool. I definitely have some misgivings about, its history and how it got to here. But I'm having a blast with that. It's would I rather do that, or would I rather, look at budgeting? I can look at budgeting. I can work on spreadsheets. I did it for years before I worked here, but it's not where I think my passion lies, and it's not where I think my greatest value lies. So spending more time on things like that, which doesn't mean zero time on administrative stuff. I still find problems. And the way that Taryn puts it is, you need to be careful what you say because you still wield a lot of soft power, is the way that he kind of phrased it. Because even though I'm not someone's direct boss or whatever, I have to be cognizant that my words and actions can carry a lot of weight.
Asterisk, also all of the hard power.
Yes, but I go out of my way to not exercise
I know,
that.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
You're not wrong,
but that is part of the reason why there is the understanding of the soft power being carried, is like, you can't, as much as you don't use it, you can't ignore that exists.
Well, it's all, but it's also not all, because there's an element of mutually assured destruction. Like if I were to, exercise my hard power.
But the effect of mutually assured destruction on others versus on you
is still destruction. And
no.
I mean, you're right. In terms of,
if mutually assured destruction happens, you'll be fine.
Day to day, I will be fine.
Yeah.
But in terms of,
Your
other things
empire may
that
shrink.
matter to me a lot, I mean, not just shrink, it can be destroyed. I think people from the outside probably don't realize how fragile organizations are. And I mean that not just about ourselves. I mean, look at what's happened to Intel over a shockingly short period of time. Like, organizations are made up of people. They're made up of processes. They're made up of a structure that it turns out is shockingly fragile. Like, it only takes a few pieces to kind of fall out of place, and the whole thing can come crumbling down.
I think it's actually... I think most companies are wildly more fragile than people think.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Intel.
Are you just repeating what I said on purpose?
Did you
or
say
were you not
Intel?
listening?
I was a little bit definitely reading chat. Hell yeah, we don't have the same thoughts.
Yeah, hold on. So unique username says, wait, what's this mutually assured destruction? So like, yeah, I could literally just go full flex and I could be like, Taryn, you're fired. Luke, you're fired. Dan, you're fired.
Oh no.
I'm literally not going to sign your paychecks anymore. See you later.
What?
Then what? Like, what for me now? Because like you have to have that mutual respect. I respect these people to do their jobs. They respect me to not do that. And there's almost like a tension. And
It's actually like literally how the whole world works.
Yeah, I don't mean that tension in a bad way. I mean the kind of tension that is like, have you seen those tables that are held up by tension?
So, Trick Kill. Oh yeah, those are super cool.
Here.
Trick Kill in full plane chat said, "No, Luke's free computers."
That's
Okay.
the only reason he's here.
Yeah, these are super cool.
These are super cool. All of these chains are loose.
Well, they're tense.
Well, right, but they're not like welded.
They're not solid. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're just chains.
You could push it and it would deform.
And it'll like wobble. So there's a tension that holds everything together, where we all sort of rely on each other. And the organization is at such a size, such a scale. And again, I reemphasize, we are 1/360th the size of Disneyland, just that park, right? But we are still at a size and scale, and we do so many things that if I were to just start cutting, the results could not be predicted, other than that it would be disastrous. It's almost like, not fully understanding what everyone does. You shouldn't just like run around cutting jobs.
What?
And then having to like rehire them because it turns out you're a big dumb idiot. Yeah.
The nukes are going to be fine. They take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what Floatplane does.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You flex too hard, you destroy the culture, and then that destroys the company, right?
Yeah. And I literally can't do it all myself anymore. There was a time when if the team were to come to me and say, we quit, you suck, right? Like this isn't collective bargaining. This is just you.
We out.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have maybe been able to do as much, but you could have kept the ship going.
Yeah, I could have kept the ship. The ship didn't do that much. The ship just like uploaded unboxings.
Yeah.
And I could hire someone
could film it.
to hold a thing. Yvonne could literally like hold the camera.
Did quite a few times.
I mean, in the early days.
Yeah.
But these days it's like, what I'm gonna like create float plane exclusives and do LTT and do short circuit and coordinate procurement and develop a website. Don't forget the apps and come on.
You're also going to lose all your institutional knowledge. There's still a lot that is still tribal here.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is in the old days, every job role I had done at some point. Now that's not the case. There are literally people who work here, who have years of experience here, doing things I have never done. Tension.
Yeah.
Mutually assured destruction. It's good. It's healthy.
But again, it's largely how society kind of subsists on it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a dog eat dog world, right? Like we're all. I mean, you've described the world as PvP,
Constant PvP environment.
but that doesn't mean that it's a zero sum game. It doesn't mean that every player has to lose. We can all win, but there are going to be degrees of winning.
Yeah.
And so we all have to be cognizant of the constant tension and working to make sure that our tension is beneficial to the people around us, that we are together this table.
I think that the table is society. We live in a society.
Now I need to have this
That's
table.
his point.
I should have this table.
As
this,
You can just order people to
constant
make it
metaphor
for you.
in the office.
yeah.
There are people here that could make that.
Oh yeah, sure. No, it's not that hard. We were looking at guides a little while ago because James wanted to do a tensegrity computer. And we were like, well, where do
that
we,
would be kind of cool.
yeah, where do we put the computer though? Like it's not really,
I mean, in the middle of that.
I guess.
That's basically just a computer case.
Exposed. Linus treats his employees like a table.
And we
Anyway, they're kidding. Don't worry.